In the world of education, it is called the achievement gap, the disparity in the academic performance of kids of groups defined by income and race or ethnicity.
So, with all the talk of the achievement gap in the news and everything, that I do think that sometimes it does have a negative effect on students. They hear the negative things being said about students of color and how they're not achieving, and I do believe that some students take that to heart and they might think that there's no way I can do this and give up when they hopefully shouldn't give up, but to keep working towards keep working towards being successful. But it can be negative for some. Some students, I believe, it makes them even fight harder to prove that they can do it. So, as a teacher of English language learners, I believe my students bring so much value to the school. They bring a different perspective from their own cultures and religions and home life. They bring a different worldview depending on where they came from. They have a perseverance and a resilience that is pretty amazing because of what a lot of students have lived through. So they bring all of this to Como and they meet other students and they join the Como community and they add a lot, and they are a positive influence on Como Park.
I'm proud to sign a law that's going to make sure that every student is prepared to succeed in the 21st century. First, this law focuses on a national goal of ensuring that all of our students graduate prepared for college and future careers. It builds on the reforms that have helped us make so much progress already, holding everybody to high standards for teaching and learning, empowering states and school districts to develop their own strategies for improvement, dedicating resources to our most vulnerable children. Second, this bill makes long overdue fixes to the last education law, provide every student with a well-rounded education. It helps states and districts reduce unnecessary standardized tests, because what we want to do is to get rid of unnecessary standardized tests so that more teachers can spend time engaging in student learning, while at the same time making sure that parents and teachers have clear information on their children's academic
Statistics over the many years that standardized tests have been used, especially since 2002, show that they are not a valid measure of the education system. The tests are destructive to students, teachers, and our education system as a whole.
That's because Black and Hispanic students have been trailing white students on standardized tests for years. To close that achievement gap, Congress passed the sweeping No Child Left Behind Act in 2001, mandating every student test at grade level by 2014, or schools risk being shut down. So many applied for waivers.
We worked on it for 6 months.
Allowing states to keep federal funding if they meet certain benchmarks. Of the 35 granted, the majority include different academic targets for different races. In Washington, D.C., for example, 71% of Black and 77% of Hispanic students need to be proficient in math by 2017, compared to 94% of white students.
The intention in closing the achievement gap is the right one. We want to see that gap close, but lowering expectations for students of color is not the answer and sends the wrong message.
And so to hold them to a bar that says you're only going to make it this far, that's discriminatory.
Regardless of race, income, or socioeconomic status.
Don't leave those children out.
Exactly.
So I think that Como Park is a very positive place for students and has a positive outcome for the students. There's different activities that students can get involved in that help them grow and become community citizens. The teachers here go above and beyond to help students succeed in their classrooms and get the extra help they need. And I think that the teachers here really enjoy the students and want to help the kids. And I think it's a very positive place in sports and clubs and academics. I believe the achievement gap can be closed, but it's going to take work with all of those involved. It needs to happen with school involvement, with teachers. Parents have a role to play in it. The community has a role to play in it. The students themselves. So I believe if we all work together, that it can happen.
And when your journey seems too hard, and when you run into a chorus of cynics who tell you that you're being foolish to keep believing, you might say to yourself a little phrase that I've found handy these last 8 years. Yes, we can.